Hello. Welcome to this edition of the Love and Come Alive podcast. I'm Oscar Crawford. A couple of weeks ago, I began a series talking to you about 8 high-value ways to love and come alive. Love and come alive is the theme for my work for 2018 because a number of people across the earth are living out experiences that are sad and depressed, with few choices. People are doing without things that are necessary for life. And we want to offer any amount of information possible that might touch someone where they feel that love might come alive in them and them have an entirely different living experience. And so I began to introduce the idea of 8 high-value ways to love and come alive. Well, the first week I discussed with you how to honor our hurts and disappointments, because we've all had them and they've all had their effect on us. In week 2, I talked to you about happiness, which many of us say that we want. We live and we strive for happiness. And I declare to you that happiness is the result of living in a constant state of gratitude no matter what is happening. And today I want to talk to you about what affects many of us, if not most of us, how to effectively manage our unresolved anger. All right. Now, let me read to you a couple of things that people have had to say about anger over time. The Buddha is credited with saying, "You will not be punished for your anger. You will be punished by your anger." I wonder if you can relate to that. Well, you will by the time this podcast is complete today. Stephen Hawking, the Einstein of our time who just passed away, said, "People will not have time for you if you are always angry." I get that. None of us want to be affected by somebody else's issues, somebody else's anger, somebody's continuous complaining. If that's all that they bring to us every time that we see them, we will find ways not to be in their presence for them to be in any place that we are not. I get that. And so I want to talk to you today about our unresolved anger, where it has come from, how it affects our lives, and what we can do to fix it, to resolve it, to take care of it, to position ourselves in such a way as it no longer affects our behavior. All right. Now, let's take a look at exactly what anger is. Anger, in its basic form, is a strong feeling of hostility. Anger seeks to act out on something or someone because of something that has already happened. Now, I know you have people in your circles, and I hope there are so very few, there are almost none, but most all of us have people in our circle who are always angry. They're angry in the present, they're angry over the past, they're just angry, and they seem like they could go off like a bomb at any time. And that's the way life on earth seems in many places, because we never know from one moment to the next where an event of terrorism is going to take place, and that usually has to deal with the result of someone's unresolved anger being acted out on other people. I hope you're getting the idea. Anger can also be the result of feeling annoyed or just displeased. Anger unresolved over time can become like a cancer growing in our bodies, continually making us sick, and can threaten our very lives. All right. So what are some of the causes of unresolved anger? Well, if you are an adult whose childhood was the experience of violence and intimidation by either of your parents or both of them, you may believe that your life was designed to be a punishing experience at every level of it. You grew up thinking being punished and treated bad was normal. And so when you're in an environment where you're not being treated bad, you don't really know what's going on. You don't know how to relate because that is not your experience. Let me give you a quick example. I share personal examples with you from time to time so you can know these events are real for me, and I'm not just talking out of an intellect or an educational experience, but a personal experience as well. I'm one of those people who believe if it's not personal, it's not real. And because this has been personal for me, it is real as I share it with you in context. I've said to you that my parents were two of the most loving, beautiful people ever. They were so kind to us as children and to friends and neighbors that many people thought they were the ideal couple. And they were, but they could turn on a dime. They could get angry in a moment over something that I had done or one of my siblings had done. And their form of love through punishment could feel quite violent, because if we didn't have marks on us at the end of that experience, they wouldn't have felt like they did a really good job. They wanted to leave a lasting impression. Now, what that set me up for was to believe that I had no recourse in response, because there was no way I had opportunity to respond to my parents. And I called it beating me up. I could not respond, because if I had dared fight back in any of that, it would have only made it worse. And I don't know what kind of end that would have had. When I left home to go to school, I expected the same kinds of things to happen. You know, if teachers were rough and treated me ugly, that was no surprise. I was used to that. If other people treated me like that, that was no surprise. I was used to that. Now, here's where this became a pinnacle or top-of-the-line experience for me. Believe it or not, my programming, even after having gone to the military, right? Even after having gone to the military and been in a very controlled environment premised upon respect and order, I came home and married a woman who was a combination of my mother and my father. And you would say, how could that have happened? Well, it was what I was programmed to be used to, and it took me 9 years to outgrow that and realize I could make some other choices. Now, think about the number of people that you know who don't believe they have a choice but to go through their experiences. A woman is being beaten by her husband. Children are being beaten by their parents and believe that they have no choice. Well, today I want to talk about opportunities for choices that we have. Even if we didn't have them as children, we have choices that we can now exercise as adults. Now, let's make this drama just a little worse. I speak to those of you who are involved in long-term relationships or have the desire to be or have been for a very long time. What do you think would be the outcome of two people coming together in a long-term relationship who both have issues of unresolved anger, however they got there? However they got to their anger and however they've been carrying it for a lifetime and it festering and growing in them, what do you think is the likelihood that relationship could succeed? Well, in many ways, it was the same description I gave you of my first marriage. Both of us were firstborns. We were both very unhappy with our past, but we liked each other in the short term and found that comforting, just didn't see where that was going to go. And, 9 years later, we knew where it had gone because we were both through with that and wanted something radically different. What we are used to, we think is the way the world is. However we grew up, as painful as it might have been, it colors the way we see the world, it colors our worldview, and it colors the way we enjoy relationship with other people. Now, I want to give you a flip side to what is going on with anger. Anger has an evil twin, and neither of them are good for us. The evil twin of anger is depression. Depression is our anger turned in on itself. Now, you'd say, Oscar, that can't totally be the case. There are exceptions to every rule. There are some chemical scenarios going on in our biology that can predispose us to a depression that we don't understand. Depression is, by and large, the result of people who've been treated very poorly over their lives turning their anger in on itself. Let me give you another example for that. In my early 30s, maybe my mid-30s, I had a dream. This is after I'm married to Bonnie, and for those of you who maybe not know this, I was married 9 years once, and now for the last 30 years, been with the same woman. I had a dream one night that a drive-by shooter came and pointed a gun in my face. When I looked in the car, I took the gun, I beat up the person who had the gun on me, and left them bleeding, threw the gun down on the ground, and walked away. Now, I woke up, and I even said to my wife, I woke her up, said, babe, look, I just had this incredible dream. I must be a whole lot badder dude than I thought. I just pistol whipped a dude in my dream who pulled a gun on me, took the gun, threw it away, and left him bleeding. And so, I was smiling. I was thinking I was peacock proud in the moment. But listen, here's what I discovered when I did the research of my own dream. That was no affirmation of my personal power. It literally was exactly the opposite. It was a revelation of my unconscious to my consciousness that I had turned my anger in on itself. Now take a moment to think about that. For all the times you've been angry outwardly at something or someone, imagine the effect that would have on you if you turned your anger in on itself. Does that sound slowly suicidal to you? Does that sound slowly self-destructive to you? Do you understand how people could become involved in criminal behavior on one hand and in self-destructive substance abuse on the other? Both of these have the same source of origin. It is unresolved anger. Now, anger seems to want to seek its own form of justice or vengeance. Here's the problem. When anger begins to act itself out, it seldom acts itself out on the persons or experiences that caused it to be in the first place. We don't go back in the past, and even in our head, we don't go back in the past and act out our anger on the persons who caused us hurtful events that have allowed us to develop unresolved anger over time. I hope this is making sense to you. But people who hurt you in the past, who really hurt you to your soul, you hurt so bad on your inside that you know it's affecting how you sense yourself and how you relate to other people now, you don't go back and beat them up. What you tend to do is you tend to take it out on the people who are closest to you and, in your perception, weaker than you. Hurt people hurt people. Are you getting that? Hurt people hurt people. And let me tell you who anger is the number one enemy to. Anger is the number one enemy to love. Because if you act out your anger, you tend to act it out on people and places that don't have the opportunity to respond to you in ways that you believe would be hurtful to you. So you take it out on them. How many times have you ever been in public where you saw someone respond to a person who is providing service in a restaurant or in a hotel, just go off the deep end on them? Never met them before in their lives. They don't know them. But whatever that anger impulse in them is, it took out a lifetime's worth of anger out on one individual that they never saw before because it was a sense of acting out some power. Hey, I'm a big bad dude or woman. I don't take that mess. And so here, take all of my lifetime's worth of anger at one time. Guess what? That is not the way to fix or to recover or to resolve our unresolved anger. Literally, it does just the opposite thing. It makes it worse. We get addicted to acting out like that on people, thinking that we're doing a service to ourselves by not taking anybody else's mess, when literally we are taking it out on ourselves again. Do you recall what the Buddha said? The Buddha had this to say: you will not be punished for your anger. You will be punished by your anger. I wonder if anybody's saying, that's listening to me right now, I wonder if anybody's saying, oh my God, if that's why I've been doing what I've been doing, how do I stop doing that? Well, hang on. I am so glad you asked the question, because we're going to begin to talk about that very soon. All right. So will you agree with me that anger is stressful? Anger in your life becomes stressful because you may not even be aware that that's why you're hyped up and always ultra sensitive all the time. It is that deep-seated anger that's unresolved, that's always looking for a place to launch up and act out. You're either going to take it out on yourself or you're going to try to take it out on somebody. Think about this. And right now you may be younger than what I'm about to say, but I'm talking to women between 35 and 45. And if you are a woman in that demographic that experienced sexual violence as a child, what you grew up thinking was that you only have value when you're being sexually punished by someone who has no investment in caring about you. Now, many of you have married people that will continue to do that in your life. They act out and punish you in ways that ought to be intimate, and you become the victim of not only sexual violence, but now domestic violence. And so you either act that anger out or you turn it in on yourself as depression. So I'm talking to you. I really want to encourage you, because you've seen signs in your life where relationships didn't work, with adults and with children, and you're sort of angry at the world, and you punish yourself for your anger, you punish as many other people as you can as a result of your anger. Remember, hurt people hurt people. I'm pleading with you to take stock of your personality and your experience now and ask yourself if your behavior and the results of all your behavior in relationships might not have some origin in your anger. And if you say yes, declare that this is a moment that you're going to begin to turn all that around, and you are determined that your life is going to be lived differently henceforth from now on and forevermore. All right, so Oscar, what are some things that we can begin to do to get a grip on our anger and effectively manage it? All right, so one of the things we just said to you is that anger is stressful. It causes stress in your life. We could do some things to begin to minimize our stress. The first one is the toughest one. You have to acknowledge that this is the mess that's been going on in your life for a lifetime, and you are done with it. You're going to get a divorce now. You're going to get a literal divorce from this anger energy that's been alive in you, because you're going to transform it into another form of energy. But you're acknowledging in the right now that your anger has caused you issues for a lifetime that you want to stop. Now, let me be very clear to you. Because you make this declaration today and you begin to build and practice activity that will help you live beyond your anger, I need you to understand this thing can slip out on you in a time that you're not being diligent to be aware that you're not acting it out, and cause you to do something stupid. So I want you to know you're going to have to always be your most responsible self in relationships to yourself and to other people, that you are determined you are not going to allow your anger to act out on you or anybody else, and you are not going to allow it to turn in on you and cause you to be depressed. I hope you're getting that. All right, so if we want to begin to eliminate stress, we have to find some activity that will help us eliminate stress. And what are those? Well, there are a couple of standard ways that we can eliminate stress. One is to become involved in some level of physical fitness. I'm going to recommend to you today that you begin to walk in nature. Experience nature as much as is possible for you. If you have the privilege to walk in a wooded park, go there and walk. You need to hear the sounds. You need to breathe in the air that is affected by trees and leaves, because it has therapeutic effect upon your mental and physical well-being. It is a scientific fact. Write to me at oscarcrawfordmedia@gmail.com. I will send you information that will show that to you. So you can do two things at once. You can position yourself in a meditative form of mind just by walking in the forest. Listen to me real close. Listen to me real close. You can begin to alleviate your stress and your anger simply by walking in the forest, because it will put you in a meditative form of mind as you casually walk and just be present in the forest. When you take a moment and sit down and just breathe it in, there is therapeutic value. There is medicinal value in that experience alone. Now, that's number one. Walk in the forest if possible. Experience the therapy of the forest as a beginning to work on your anger. You have decided, you have made a qualitative decision. You are not going to live out your life in anger for the rest of your life. You've got better things to do. You want to live well. You want to love well. You want to be both loving and productive. You want to be excited about who you are. You want to be excited about life. And so this is the beginning of your opportunity to turn your life around such that it works for you and you are not a slave to it. I hope that's making sense to you. All right. Second to that, I hope you will take the initiative to engage some people that you believe live beyond their anger and have a sense of enjoyment for their life. I want you to talk to them. I want to encourage you to talk to them. Listen, one of the things you're going to quickly learn, you're going to quickly learn that you are not the only person who's ever had issues. You may, in fact, talk to someone whose life was significantly worse for them than yours has been for you. Now, that doesn't minimize your experience, because yours was real, yours is real to you. But literally, their life may have been more punishing to them than yours. But they have outlived the anger that was a result of the negative experiences that they had over their lifetime. So here's something I tend to say real ugly if I'm in person with you, but I'll try and be nice here. You know, there are sometimes people will say to us, man, can't you just get over that? People say to people who are black generations away from slavery, can't you just get over slavery? No. Can Jewish people get over the Holocaust? No. Can a woman who survived sexual violence just get over it? No. This requires help. This requires care, and it requires a great deal of intentional attention to getting better and not being a victim of the past. All right, I hope you heard that. Okay, so by talking to other people and listening to what happened for them, you begin to get the idea that you can live beyond the present moment that doesn't feel good to you, and you can live a different kind of life. When you begin to believe that you can live a different kind of life, that is principle and beginning to attract to you the people and the experiences that will support your new initiative for yourself. Does that make sense to you? So the more you think about becoming loving and productive and free of your anger and its control over your life, the more you will attract into your life people and experiences that will be a blessing to you to help you get beyond your experiences of anger in your life. What we're really talking about here is transforming your energy of anger that has caused you to live miserably unhappy and acting out or hurting yourself into something so beautiful you almost will wonder how you ever stayed in your anger so long. But you'll be sincerely thankful for the moment that you became conscious that you could make a change in your life and then make your life more loving and productive. Enjoy yourself, enjoy other people, enjoy your family. You will be incredibly grateful that this is the new dawn of a new day in your life. All right, so let's say that you continue to talk to people, you learn more and more, but you still believe you need some help. There is absolutely no shame in getting professional help. There is no shame whatsoever in getting professional help, in seeking out therapy. Whatever you learn from therapy, I just need you to know you will always be the one who is responsible for the work. You must be responsible for whatever you learn in therapy, or for whatever you learn in conversations, for however you learn to transform your anger into love. You are responsible for the doing. Only this time you are conscious of what you're doing, intentional about what you're doing, because you have your eye on a different prize, on a different outcome. All right. Now, I want to talk to you a bit about how this happened for me. In my earlier life career, I had to speak to audiences on a regular basis. I did teaching and training regularly. And on a Saturday morning at a breakfast meeting, I was having to make a presentation to about 100 people. And as I began to do my presentation, okay, now you may do with this what you want to. In my thoughts came this thought: Oscar, you have the power to transform your anger into love. And that so got my attention. I looked at my audience and said, excuse me for a moment. I've just had a thought that is so powerful, I have to go off and process it for a second, but I will be right back. Don't go anywhere. I'm not going to be that long. I just need to wrap my mind around what just happened inside me so that I can share that with you. And so as I began to speak when I got back, I said, look, I just heard inside myself that I have the power and the privilege and the opportunity to transform all my hurts and anger for a lifetime into love in this moment. How many of you can relate to that? And I was blown away again because everybody in that audience understood. None of us had just ever heard the words like that before, that we literally possess the power, have the opportunity, and the privilege to take the power away from our anger and now use the power of that energy to transform it into love and then live completely different lives. Now, how different would your life be today? If you took all the energy that your anger has been taking from your life and transform it into intentionally loving yourself and other people, how significant would your life change immediately? Let me tell you what would happen. people who are used to you being an angry soul all the time, they'll look at you and act like, who are you? We don't know you. What happened? What happened to Angry Sally? What happened to Ugly Dude? I mean, what happened to you all? You all were always angry. You're always telling your sad story. You always want to beat up somebody. You're always angry at yourself. You're angry at life. What happened to you? And you will simply be able to look them on the face and say, I had a universe moment. I had a spirit moment. And that spirit universe moment told me that I no longer had to be a victim of my anger or my experiences that cause me pain. I can declare for myself by intention that I'm going to take all that energy that's been killing me in my life, and I have the power to change it now to love myself. I'm going to have to learn how to do that, right? I have to learn how to do it. And I can use that power to learn how to love other people, and I'm going to have to learn how to do that. And so in the moment that I was speaking to that group, we then moved on to how can we practice loving ourselves. And believe it or not, there was a text that many of us were aware of. And I have shared this with you from the beginning of doing this podcast, in the beginning of Love and Come Alive as a theme. There is a text that says that we should love the creator of all life more than we love anything, which means simply that we should love and value life more than anything. And believe it or not, we do. We just don't do it by intention. We do it by autopilot. We are all trying to continue life by making children, having longer generations so we can spend time with our families more. We actually do that, but we don't. We have to consciously value life. And so we are asked to love life, the creator of life, and life itself more than we love anything. That's huge. I mean, we're not the first people to think this or go through these problems. These problems have been around for millennia. As long as there's been human beings, we've been dealing with our anger and our issues, and we're trying to resolve them so we can go on and live a life. I hope you're excited about that. It went on to say that we should love others like we love ourselves. So in the system of priority, we're loving life and the creator of life as number one, and we're loving ourselves as number two, and we're loving all others like we love ourselves. What an incredible formula. It means I have the capacity to let go of everything that ever hurt me. I don't get to get rid of the experience. I don't get rid of the lesson it taught me, because there were valuable lessons to be learned in all of this. What it does, it sets me free to become the best version of myself possible. It creates opportunity for me to love life, for me to love myself, and for me to love you. I don't know all of you who are hearing my voice right now. I don't. I wish I could. Many of us would probably enjoy each other's company. We would talk. We would share stories. We'd listen to the same music. We'd eat some food. Maybe we'd even dance. We'd celebrate in some kind of context. But it would give us the opportunity to do that. I hope you're hearing me. I hope you become so excited about your opportunity to love yourself in a new way that you will allow nothing and no one to get in the way. Anybody who's ever gotten up your nose, every time they come around you and want to irritate you, you look at them and smile and say what I said to you last week. You look at them and smile and say, I am so thankful that whatever has caused you to be like this had nothing to do with me. I wish you well. Now, should they ever face themselves and ask you how to change, be willing to help them. But you have the privilege to be anywhere they are not. They have the privilege to be anywhere that you are not, because you're not inviting that kind of energy into yourself and your space anymore. You have decided that you are going to resolve your anger. You're going to leave it in the past where it took place. You're going to take its valuable lessons and apply them. You're going to learn how to live a less stressful life. You're going to walk, or you're going to exercise. You're going to spend time in the forest. And you're going to spend time intentionally transforming your anger into love. Do you know how powerful your love is about to be? Where you have been angry at people, you're now going to love them with all that is in you. Your desire is to help people feel good about themselves. And the more we can reproduce this idea, the more family and community and self-love, the better it's going to be. And life is just going to take on a new and enhanced, flavorful experience like sunshine and moonlight. We're just going to walk in the glow. Thank you for joining me again. I love what I do. I love you. I hope you got something from this. And I look forward to spending this time again with you on next week. This was the Love and Come Alive podcast. I'm Oscar Crawford.